Jeremy Werner had a really good piece for the Illini Inquirer in 24/7 Sports yesterday on just a bunch of Brad Underwood quotes. The Illini Hoops Notebook is what he called it. We've talked about some of these things that Underwood said at I guess, the Kendall Gill golf outing this week, but talked about Andrei Stojakovic early impressions, the Europeans and the issues that they're having getting to Champaign. But there's a new quote that I found in the Werner article that really popped to me based on some discussions we've already had this offseason. But Brad Underwood has, I think, been sort of evolving in what he's been prioritizing and bringing into this roster year to year, right? The narrative right now this offseason has been look at all the guys we're bringing back. We have more retention than we've had. He is currently trying to play the retention game while also still simultaneously bringing in all this European talent. Second straight year, the European pipeline is open, but that's not without complications, as we know, with only 10 players at practice right now and multiple European guys that we don't know when they're even going to get to Champaign. So I think, you look at who Brad Underwood's been targeting. He's still after some big time prep high school players, Dylan Mingo and Marcus Ponder, who we did a video on today. But we've also made videos recently on some new offers that Illinois has been extending. He's been offering some 3-star forward types that just quite frankly are below the caliber of player that may speak to Brad Underwood wanting to bring in guys who might stick around Illinois for a few years. It's been an interesting development. So, anyways, I've sort of just been trying to take all this in and have these conversations as it happens and figure out what his vision is long term on a year by year basis as it changes. But Brad gave this quote that finally sort of makes me start to think there's some intentionality behind what he's doing here. And I'm going to read a quote directly from Werner's write up here. It's a long one, but it's really good. So again, shout out to Jeremy Werner in the Illini Inquirer here. He said, quote, I think we're all trying to figure that out on how recruiting fits into this era of college basketball. Quote, we know it's going to be more relevant, high school recruiting, than maybe it has been the past 2 years. I think we got away from some of the COVID guys. We're all looking for guys who can develop and will stay in your program and continue to add value through longevity. Then we're all trying to figure out what are those financial numbers? What is the value for the top guys? If they're one and done, are you getting their best basketball? Can they help you compared to a veteran? I think there's a lot of factors involved that we're all trying to play through. We've got two seniors this year in Kylan and Ben. Realistically, we can have our whole team back. I don't expect that, but I think right now we're kind of taking a wait and see approach with a lot of guys at a lot of different positions. End quote. Great reporting from Werner. The most detailed answer from Brad Underwood on how he's trying to run his program that we've received in a long time. But he's looking ahead. This is a year after this year. You can't get Boswell or Benham Rickhouse back. But outside of those two, theoretically, everyone on this Illinois roster could be back, and Brad Underwood's talking about that right now in a way he hasn't done in 4 to 5 years. Do you think he's serious about retention being the core of this program? Because that would be something new for Brad Underwood that hasn't been true in his tenure at Illinois.
Yeah, I think it's a viable strategy as long as you retain the right pieces. I almost think it's probably smartest to try to develop your stars internally than just go star chasing in the portal. Of course, you're going to have the exception with the top, really the top five level recruits who can be that game changer from the jump as freshmen. But for the most part, when you look at some of the most impactful guys in the sport, the All Americans, the Naismith contenders, they tend to be guys who have developed internally or like second year transfers, maybe not the ones that make the biggest splash right away. Even if you look at someone like Hunter Dickinson, who was seen as the biggest name to ever hit the portal when it happened, his 2 years at Kansas were underachieving, and he might have made an All-American team one of those years, but he was never really in the conversation for the Wooden Award or the Naismith or anything like that. And you're seeing this flesh out for Illinois this year, where we talked about earlier today. Thomas Slavovicic should be one of the best bigs in the country. He's kind of the guy, the main when you're thinking about the best five men in the Big Ten. I think he's the clear-cut favorite right now. There's no reason to think he can't extend that nationally. And that's a guy who you developed in his first year there. Now you're hoping he can maybe bump those averages closer to something like 17, 9, and 3 this year with a lot of usage or whatever. And I think Stojakovic is another kid who I don't think is a clear-cut NBA guy. Like he'll get there eventually, but you might get him for 2 years or round two, and I would assume year two is going to be greater than year one. So yeah, as I survey the landscape right now, it's pretty risky to put all your chips in the portal every year. Like there's only one Donovan Dent, or I shouldn't say only one. I feel like there's only two to three types of players like that in the portal every year who you just expect to be near 20 point per game scores at the power conference level. Like what the strategy here I think is wise because if you are able to retain, then you can fill gaps with some of those high upside portal guys who maybe haven't proved it just yet, or you can get some of the, let's say, the middle tier freshmen, since I know Illinois hasn't really gotten the 5-star kids that you're looking at to be game changers from the jump. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Today's video is sponsored by LabCorp On Demand. Car, do you take care of yourself?
I try my best to, yeah.
Like not just treat yourself to expensive meals, but like you go to the doctor and things like that?
No, I just take care of myself. There's no need to go to the doctor unless I'm not taking care of myself, right?
Are you afraid of the doctor, Cart?
Just a little bit. I mean, if nothing's wrong, why would I go there?
Listen, I'm the same way, and so are millions of men across America. But that's why LabCorp On Demand is helping millions of people like us. With their men's health test, you can get a comprehensive look at your hormone levels, your total testosterone, and you don't even have to go to the doctor. It's easy, and you get the results the next day.
Testosterone, is that a big thing?
It's a really important thing, Cart. Sometimes you can feel off without even knowing something's wrong. But LabCorp On Demand wants to keep you healthy and wants to make it as easy as possible. Right now, you can get 20% off your men's health test by visiting our sponsor at tryelco.com/sleepersmedia. It's simple, affordable, and honestly, it's empowering to know that you're healthy and have this info about your body.
Didn't know that testosterone did all those things. I'm gonna have to take the guesswork out of this and go get my health checked out today using LabCorp On Demand.
Well, yeah, it makes me think everything has been intentional, right? Maybe I should have known that all along, but like pretty clearly, Brad is always a guy with a plan. Sometimes it's almost like he's too plan centric. Like I've decided we need talent, so I'm gonna get all the talent and not care if they leave. Or I don't know. This is kind of the inverse of that. I think he's constantly evolving. He's like a Pokemon that just you leave him alone for 2 hours and suddenly he morphs into a new version of himself, right? I think it's going to be interesting to see if this works because the criticism I would have on this year's roster is that they're probably one elite talent short of being a championship team. Like if you had the one and done lottery pick guy mixed in with all of this retention, then I think we're talking about Illinois as like a top 5 team in the country preseason. But instead, this is clearly a vision of like let's get guys with multiple years of eligibility that can grow and stay here. And that's good. I think in college basketball, you can be young and win, but you can't be young and going to leave very clearly. And that's what last year's Illinois team was. They were young, and it was a bunch of dudes that were like, this is a 1 year thing for us.
Right.
It's okay to bring in freshmen. Like they're going to have a lot of freshmen on this year's team. The two American kids, Merkovich technically is a freshman. Jason Jaxtis is a redshirt freshman. You've got, as Brad mentioned, a bunch of guys that are listed as underclassmen. Stojakovic is only a junior, and he's probably one of the biggest vets on this team with Ty Rodgers injured. Yes, you have Boswell and Humrickhouse, but 90% of this team could come back. And it feels like one of those things. I'm not saying they're young, but it could be one of those things where if this year's team doesn't win, the narrative flips and it becomes like, well, did we get too many guys without college experience? Did we go
Right.
too far on the development scale this year? And we'll see. But I applaud Brad Underwood for sticking with a plan that is intending on getting multiple years of guys to grow because you've got the best weight program in the country right now. You should use that in a way that you get to reap the rewards of the guys you physically transformed, right? Will Riley is a grown man now. That doesn't help Illinois basketball this year because he's doing it in the NBA. But maybe you can turn Keaton Wagler into a grown man, and by year 2 or year 3, he becomes an all conference player. It's just such a contrast from what he's done that hearing him say it out loud this way in July is like kind of jarring to hear, you know?
I wonder if it was like this has been a couple years in the making with Matthew Meyer, who was the 1 year rental. That experiment going so south. And even all things considered, like they still made the tournament. It wasn't completely disastrous, but that was just that I'm trying to think of like a television comparison here. That was like the final season of Breaking Bad. Honestly, the first half of the last season was my favorite. I think that was some of the best television ever. That was like the peak of the Real Housewives of Champagne for this channel that season. And maybe since then, that's where Brad's like, I got to get away from this and just move on to the continuity model instead. So
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, 1 year with Matthew Meyer could break a man, clearly. But no, like I don't know. You go through all the best players of the Underwood era, right? This is how they got to be a championship level team the years that they were. Terrence Shannon was there for 2 years, and year two was the special year. Kofi Coburn was
right.
there for 3 years, and by year three, he was a monster. Io was there for multiple years. You have to retain talent to win. We screamed about it last year, and it feels that that is finally something Brad is serious about caring about. And you just go through the players on this roster, like Petrovic. Of course, you would want multiple years of him. Stojakovic, yes. Both of Isic's, yes. Give me a year too. I guess we don't know for some of the more developmental guys like Wagler and Lee, but man, I'm hearing good things behind the scenes about Wagler for sure right now. But it is interesting, half of this roster is guys I would consider like developmental project D types.
Mhm.
And half of the targets for Brad right now are developmental. Like there's a couple forwards that are 3-star kids in Iowa right now that we were surprised got an Illinois offer. And it does feel deliberate at this point. Brad wants guys that might be redshirt candidates to fill half of this roster. And I don't know if I think that's a great plan or not yet. I guess we'll see.
So I'll make my case for that and we can wrap. But when you look at the House settlement where there's no more walk-ons and you have 15 scholarships to use, I think it's really smart to find those 3-star kids in Iowa. If you can play on selling them like, hey, it is special to wear the Illinois jersey. This is a program that was in the national championship game in your lifetime. We're not that far removed from it. We're trying to get back to there. There's something special being built in Champaign. And if they pan out, great. Like you might have a guy a couple years down the road. If they don't, then they're probably going to still be good locker room guys who are happy to be there and they'll go transfer down to a Missouri Valley school or something. Like I'm all for at this point with the house settlement, with no walk-ons, with 15 scholarships, being creative in how you fill out your roster. And if you can find the right type of guy, it's just it's a low risk way to approach it.
This is true. And it's easier to do that too when you have talent you really believe in, like Stojakovic and Ivisic, who will be here for a couple more years. Last joking note from me, pour one out for Kerry Booth, man. Poor Kerry Booth just wasn't good enough for the retention line. Now he gets to hear Brad Underwood scream about, I want all my players back forever and ever, but poor Kerry Booth.
Never forget that Illinois fans were gassing him up as an NBA player this past year. But let's end the video.
He
I want to
was
move.
on the lengthy list of the most talented Illinois roster in Brad Underwood history. This video is brought to you by NBA 2K Labs or maybe college football labs because the people behind 2K Labs have just built something awesome. CFBLabs.com has everything you need to play college football 26 even better. Cart, you've been playing the game, right?
I have been, but I'm behind the 8 ball, Gregory. There's a lot of people out there who got a little bit of edge on me, but the good folks over at 2K Labs got me covered. They got the playbooks I need, the plays, the head-to-head coaches, knowing some teams. Obviously, way too many college football teams. I need the inside edge here, and they got all different types of things to help me get that edge.
Yeah, I jumped in and started playing Road to Glory over the weekend, and I ended up like a 2-star recruit that did not get one snap in season one because I chose the wrong school with the wrong roster that was way too loaded. Had I known that CFBLabs.com exists, I would have made a much more wise decision in my Road to Glory mode. They've got teams, playbooks, coaches, team comparison tools. You can literally see every single play in the game, every player in the game, their rating, what they're good at, all in one consolidated place online to help you make the right choices and win more games in college football 26. CFBLabs.com. Go check it out.